Good morning and welcome to Frank's School. This is the 6th-year, 171st day. The second of 4 videos, although it's actually the next day of this day, 171st day. I did it that way because I wanted to put all 4 together. This is, again, a lightning talk. This is talk number 2, done for the Degrow Us conference in Chicago, 2018. And these are supposed to be very short lightning talks. And you know, given the fact that I'm at home and I didn't go there, and I was faced with 32 hours of riding the train over 2 nights, and being away from my farm animals and stuff. Well, that's kind of another story. But I'm not going to put quite the same pressure on myself to get this done in 4 minutes. Maybe it'll take 5. But in any case, it's quite a different subject here. I want to talk about a new vernacular architecture. Vernacular refers to of the people, of the folk, what normal people do. And vernacular architecture is usually with the materials that are at hand. And some of the most beautiful architecture in the world, domestic architecture at least, is certainly vernacular architecture. I use the example often of medieval timber framing. You know, so beautiful. Okay, well anyway, a new vernacular architecture as part of a new culture, because degrowth is going to require a new culture, at least the way we perceive it. It's not just doing with less of the same culture. No, we can do much better than that, which we've got to somehow get across, that we're not talking about a loss, we're talking about a gain. Anyway, how is this done? Well, by building with pallets. Building with pallets. It changes everything about domestic architecture. As I'm in the process of showing. Maybe I should erase this stuff as I go. A friend of mine, a student, a sustainability studies student, and I are producing some booklets. It's a series of 8, I guess 8 booklets, and the collection is going to be called Building with Pallets. A New Vernacular Architecture, in which we lay this out. Now, the preface is mostly written, and I named the preface somewhat whimsically, Preface to Lyrical Palettes. If you're a true academic, and especially within the humanities, you recognize that there's an allusion there. I'll give you a hint, Wordsworth. Preface to Lyrical Palettes. And it's mostly written. I'm trying to figure out a way to get it online so that you could read it if you wish to. I'll say a little something about the publication of this book in a little bit. But anyway, it's mostly written. There'll only be one of them, and then the introduction. That's going to take a little bit more time, because there I need to talk about techniques, hands-on stuff. I call it, it's primitive technology in a sense, because carpenters have known this stuff for 1,000 years, or maybe 4,000 years in some of the cases, but a lot of it tends to be forgotten. And some of it perhaps is new, I don't know. But the introduction is going to be easier to write in a way, because it's going to be so hands-on. And it will explain the technique that then can be applied to each of the booklets. But this isn't going to take all that long. All right, the booklets, the first one is going to be huts. The second one, clusters. There'd be clusters of huts, but clusters. The third one, fences. The fourth, living roofs. These huts and fences will have living roofs. The fifth one, floors. Each one of these can actually be quite brief and clear. The sixth one, windmills and water wheels. Now, in a way, they don't necessarily involve pallets. I wouldn't want you to think that I'm going to build a water wheel out of pallets, or windmills out of pallets. But they apply, because clusters can share them. I've only got so much time. You'll sort of have to wait to see this stuff come out. A sixth one, gardening and farming with pallets, yes. And the eighth one, the barn house as a village center. All right, that's intended, and those should come out, well, I would hope within a year, because once we get going, the young man who's working with me is in college, and he's got, you know, the college load, but as he's going to be probably the thing that will take the most time to get his drawings done. He's able to do SketchUp. He can use the architectural program SketchUp, which is so nice because everything looks so clear with that, but it takes time. Now, I'm jumping to this here. Our current president at one point was bragging about all the jobs and investment being brought to America. I don't know what, I don't remember exactly what the figures were, but I did some quick math, and the amount of dollar investment in some industry, I don't know what industry it was, I took and then the number of jobs that meant for Americans. I took it and I divided it, and it came to something like $50,000 of investment per job. Well, that's just the job. And I thought, whew, that's a lot of money to spend to set up a job. Of course, that's the building, tooling up for it, I suppose. And you know, with that whole GNP as being a wonderful thing, the more money spent, the better. But you know, then there's a car. You know, what about a car? What about housing for that worker? What about his family? I mean, we're talking in this range. Now, in contrast to that, you know, here I'm thinking, I can house a family of 4 at a cost of about $300. That's to have them safe, dry, and permanent. I'm not talking about putting a tent up, no, and more. I mean, now it is absolutely voluntary simplicity that I'm talking about. A very simple environment. John DeGraff, whom some of you may know, when we were emailing some, and when he realized the smallness of the square feet I was talking about, he said, that's like a prison cell. That's too small. But I think what he didn't allow for is the fact that the windows would be wide open, the doors would be wide open, and the great outdoors would be all around you. But in any case, if you want to actually see what these huts will look like or currently look like, it'll have to go beyond this talk. So $300 for the shelter itself. To heat it and to equip a kitchen, I should put quick kitchen in quotes because most, I mean, it is so different from what most people would imagine as a kitchen. That would cost another $300. Now, if you have to buy new material, if all the material is new, you can't get free pallets, as I can. I've probably used 1,000, 2,000 pallets already here on this farm, and I've never bought a pallet yet. But I've priced them. If you go to the pallet factory and buy them, they cost about $9 each. It would add about another $500. No, cats. Sorry, a little entertainment. And where the costs come from at all is the new lumber that comes from the sawmill. That is new, because these are not, don't confuse a hut with a hovel or a shanty or a shack. It's a hut because it's small. And then to tool up so that this a person, or really 4, could have work, have a job, that would cost about $550, I mean, for the tools necessary to bring them into the economy. You might think, well, what kind of a job is that? Well, recycling, decommissioning especially, and repairing. There is plenty of work to do in the degrowth process. So I don't know, if you add all this stuff up, we're under, well, maybe a little over $1,000 to employ and house a family of 4. Now, it would take 2 workers about 2 days to build such a hut. And again, if you imagine, well, this would be an ugly thing. No, not at all. they'll be beautiful, white and tight, and with the beauty of timber framing. If you ever thought of a medieval village, if you would imagine a medieval village with its timber framed cottages, there you go. Now it would have to have a water supply. That I did not allow for. But a tap, or a well, and it doesn't need electricity. Would not be taxed because it's too small. I can't go on with the whole thing right now, but I suspect that's really enough. If you want to see more about this, I will offer 2 links. I've begun about 25 of these on this farm, which was once a village that was abandoned, bulldozed, and forgotten, a mining village. Why I've only started them is because although $1,000 per, or really closer to $300 per hut, that's still some money, but I can get them started quicker than that. But anyway, I'll give you some links where you can take a look at them as they stand, and then it's my intent to make this freely available. This is not going to be a book. These are not going to be booklets that I expect to get money from, and I also, I'm not sure what to do about the preface to Lyrical Palettes. I'd like to get that out there, but it's a Word document, and my skills with a computer are so poor. I don't know. I haven't looked into yet how to make it freely available. I'm thinking some about just attaching it to an email to the Degrow Us group and see if there's somebody out there who knows what to do with it. So there you go. Bye for now.